Hello, Quake fans. You're here with myself, Hamo, my co-caster Fuzzy, and Dasbok, and we're coming to you live from the arena in Fortress, Melbourne CBD. Welcome to the Kawachi Cup's Dual Championship Finals, this year's biggest Quake LAN of the Asia-Pacific region. Across the next 2 days, our top players will duel it out over a prize pool of around $3,500. And of course, most importantly, bragging rights. Every heavy armor, mega health, rail, rocket, and orb will get them closer to glory. So strap in and get ready for some Quake. This weekend, we have 35 players and 5 divisions, all battling it out for the KDC finals. Some players will perform above their expectations, and others will crumble under the pressure. Behind us, on the main stage, we have Division 1, which is the top 8 players. These players have converged from all over Australia to play on 0 ping, where there is no delay. When you hit your opponent, they feel it. There's no confusion over who has collected the item when you jump in it at the same time, and every rocket fired, you can instantly see its trajectory. This is the purest form of multiplayer gaming. And in Quake Duel, this is a sanctuary. For a lot of our players, LAN is so much better to play on that they've been here since Wednesday night practicing for the last couple of days getting ready. 6 of these players out of the top 8 players on stage started their journey to earn their seat on stage 9 months ago by earning points through the Kawachi Cup's Dual Championship, winning their matches through competitive splits. These players include Dandy King, Lure, Knight, Redoxide, Lucky, and Salty. While 2 of them were able to qualify through a last chance qualifier, Kama and Mike. On the floor behind us, we have rows of PCs with the other 30 or so jewelers in divisions 2, 3, 4, and 5, also playing for their final rankings. We've got grandstand seating for spectators, a huge screen behind us with the players on stage, and a bar for beers and food. So if you're thinking of coming down to watch in person, we encourage you to. It's free entry for spectators. Share this stream around with all your mates. Put it in all your Discords. Let's make it very popular. The format we're running for this top 8 is a full round robin on day 1, where all the players will play each other to earn their rank for the finals. Then returning on day 2, we'll have a double elimination bracket where they'll battle it out for the top spot. Kicking off shortly, we have our first match, Redoxide vs Lure, who are currently getting ready to face off on stage. Today, we have 7 group stage matches on Steam, and then the finals tomorrow. There'll also be a B stream link. We haven't put it up yet, but it will go up soon. A couple of technical issues we're just sorting out. The map pool for this weekend is Awoken, Blood Covenant, Corrupted Keep, Deep Embrace, Ruins of Sarnath, Molten Falls, and Vale of Noth, as voted by the top 6 ranked players at the end of all the splits. All right, now we turn our attention for the first match of the day. Redoxide vs Lure. Fuzzy, Dasbok, what can we expect from this matchup?
Well, let's have a look at the head-to-head here of these 2 players. So we've got here a graphic showing some of the strengths of these players, shows the history of what we've seen. As you can see, both of these players, well experienced, had plenty of match history between them. Both of them just such excellent fundamental players, and I think we're going to see a lot of, Red Oxide's always had that, great movement, great aim. He's such a strong player in that regards. But Lua, he's just probably one of the best fundamental players I think there is probably in, Australian Quake. I think that's fair to say.
I think it's very fair to say, yeah. And yeah, Redoxide's just been putting in the hours this week. He was one of the players that Hamo mentioned, came in nice and early throughout the week and has, been grinding away on that 0 ping, which it's a bit of a game changer.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. We're going to see some, I think, great plays. I say I haven't had much of a chance myself to try out the servers, but from what little bit I did, they feel fantastic. So
100 frames per second, 0 ping, it's going to make a difference.
All right, so are we ready with the players?
yeah, so let's have a quick look at before we get going here. See if these guys are good to go. And it looks like we are ready.
Yeah, with Redoxide on the Ranger, Lure on the Strog, with Awoken being the first map of the competition. Classic map to launch a classic tourney, I would say.
All right, so if you're just tuning in, we got Lure, the Trapper. He waits, he punishes, he hits mid-airs for good measure. And we got Redoxide, moves fast, puts the pressure on, but has a low tilt threshold. Will we see Jekyll or Hyde this weekend?
Maybe a bit of both. Maybe a bit of both. Who knows? Who knows?
I think he's going to have to pull out a bit of both to be able to take it to Lure.
All right.
All right, we are
Getting
kicking
underway.
off.
And I'll leave you two casters, Fuzzy and Das.
little bit of contest over, little bit of a contest over heavy. No, Redoxide's back off there. There goes the rockets, but nothing connects as Redoxide's just happy to play this more of a not a relaxed game, but more of a defensive game. He knows he's 2 frags up. He knows that with every second that passes, it's going to be harder and harder for Lua to make that comeback. Although with the speed of Strog, that's something he could bring back very quickly. The rails are exchanged. Both players not very low. Lua puts himself up at that mega. But the rockets are not quite doing enough. Here comes out the LG fight with the orb coming out. Forces Lua away. Redoxide's a little bit lower on health. Both players have to just back away, and that bit of care needs to be taken. Here we are. Fight a banana. The LG comes out, and Lua is now done. That is 4-1. I know people accuse me of calling games a little bit too early, but I think 3 frags, 2 minutes. It's going to be a little bit more difficult for Lua to do, especially now that's become 4 frags in a minute and a half. And I think we're going to see the first stage match of the KDC finals here on LAN is going to go to Redoxide. Redoxide's just all over it. This is just for ego now at this point. Congratulations. Minute left. Minute left. Yeah, Redoxide's just more than happy to stay a little bit away. Let things happen. No chance of come back from Lua now. Good to see Disco that the audio is good. That was stressing Fuzzy a little bit there. We'll just let this play out. No, I'm not casting by myself. As we said, we're going to be coming back in a second. We've just got some audio to fix, and we'll be right back. Congratulations to Redoxide on Map 1 win.
All right, apologies about that, everyone. We seem to be back.
I feel like we're back. That was an exciting first map. It was.
I didn't get to see much of it, unfortunately, because I was trying to fix text. Just can someone confirm in chat for me? Are we all good? Can you hear me, both Dazbok and myself? All
Got
right.
our illustrious director there. Now, first map was explosive. It was Redoxide managing to get a commanding lead by about the 7.5-minute mark. And I did my classic calling it early. Definitely wasn't wrong.
And you were actually right for this time.
I was right for
It might
once.
be unusual, but for once you were right. Redoxide taking the map.
LAN is, LAN is a case of sometimes I can be right.
Maybe that's just your thing. You're a LAN player, you know?
Yeah,
a LAN caster.
I think I'm definitely quieter than you, mate, taking a look at that.
All right, I will boost your...
Give me some boost, mate.
I'll give you some boost.
Give me some boost. So going into the next map soon, Blood Covenant with Redoxide on the Nyx and Lure on the Anarchy. I kind of get the feeling that the Nyx pick is the one that Lure would have wanted here. So I don't quite know how the pick bans went there for the players, but yeah.
Yeah, look, I think that's well, definitely could just be a like a try and steal pick here from Red. He's got a very wide champ pool, and I think he'd be very happy pretty much on any of these champions that that he's got.
Yeah.
So,
having said that, we are best of 3. You do have a wide champ pool available, so Lure going the Anarchy. That's not a hey, I've got nothing left to pick. This is map 2 in best of 3.
Exactly, and not only that, Anarchy is definitely a champion who we've seen. Lure on before, right?
dominate with on
loves
this,
this champion, so I do not think it's not surprising at all that we'd see, and it's definitely a map. This is also a map that he's played this champion on a lot. Yes, the Nyx, is one of the champions I think you definitely put with Lure, but it's gonna be no slouch here either on the Anarchy. So let's start with Lure and see what is. This is the first match, right, of LAN.
It's the second match. Second map, first match.
First set. You don't want to go down. You don't want to lose the first set in a 2-0 fashion, right? So,
no, that would be an absolutely horrendous way to start. It's definitely not something we want to see, and both players getting a pretty even spawn here. Looks like we're going to have Redoxide going for the Mega, whilst Lure is going to put a delay on that Heavy. But he's just got to keep in mind that light chance, fast chance, and you don't want to risk giving away position, especially to someone like Redoxide playing a Nyx. As Redoxide's more than happy to go on the quiet now. Getting Dazbok game sound, hey?
getting double.
Okay. Well, I'll keep talking.
Does that fix up your in-game sound? Anyway, let's keep here over through. So yeah, look, Lure has got the side that wants to play on, right? And I think this is going to be probably a quiet map to begin with, right? At least until these players sort of get a chance to try and get that first frag. We'll see what they can do, how they're going to go out play in this.
Yeah, but definitely the heavy armor side as a light champ is the one that you want to be on. Having a mega health, it's all well and good having that, but at the end of the day, you know, armors is what win your games as light champs here. And yeah, Lure's just that time to run a little bit on the heavy. Redoxide's actually pushed in on that heavy. He's going to pick it up. That's the first heavy of the
But taking that rail, that's all she's got, and a beautiful trap here set by Lure. The LG out, Ghost Walk forced. So this is going to be a chance potentially for Lure to try and take this. But in fact, not fantastic here. Mega Health next item up, and Red is the one in position to take it. Lure is just going to try and deny these time vials. Such a critical thing to keep these away from the Nyx.
Yeah, both champs are time vial heavy. You want that pocket mega as the Anarchy, and obviously the Ghost Walk is such a powerful tool in the Nyx. As Lure takes the rail, claiming back that heavy, he is so low now. 2 rails from Redoxide, just hitting absolutely perfectly. Yeah, now we've just got Lua's going to make a play for that Mega. He's going to make the Mega pickup not as useful, and that is the risk that you have with these light champs going for the Mega. One rail is enough to ruin your fun here. Both players haven't been able to extend enough to get a frag yet. Both players really helpful at the moment. Stacks are massive. I say that as Lua takes another rail, make that 2 rails, one after the other. And Redoxide jumps down onto that heavy armor. I thought he was going to go for it, make something of it there, but he doesn't actually extend and goes for the frag. Just more than happy to pick himself up, well, control the heavy area. Although, don't think he's got timing on it. He's moved away, and Lua knows that he's got the heavy there. He's going to push in and get himself that heavy right after picking up the Mega, and that's pushed Redoxide out of the map temporarily.
But mind you, the rails that Red are hitting right now, it's keeping, like, look at the stack that Lua's on
Yeah.
compared to Red. And Lua's the one who's just taken everything. He's just used the inject. He's got Mega and Heavy, and you wouldn't even tell. There's no stack difference right here.
No,
So
he's
basically
he's
one
a medium
rail.
champ.
Exactly. Right. And this thing is, this next, well, now he's got this Mega Ray. He's managed to get that stack back on. But Red's doing such a good job of, even if he's losing out on some of these major items,
There's the rail.
that rail again, and immediately it's put Lua in a spot where he's actually going to take the aggressive fight. Huge rocket there. Red down to 50 HP. He's actually going to try and go in for the item and gets caught out. Lua
frag.
taking the first frag of the match.
And that's a massive one. He's going to go for the refrag here. Catches Redoxide as he goes for the rail. And nothing you can do with Redoxide there. Nothing at all. And Lua is in such a commanding position now. As we're about to hit the 4-minute mark of map 2. This is going very differently to how we were seeing in map 1, with Redoxide just dominating. 2 frags, you may not say that's a lot, but on Blood Covenant, that's a lot.
And you're playing against, you've got, a fast champion. Good rail there from Red. You managed to get heavy as well. And Lua actually peeking in for that second shot, and Red takes another hit. Lua trying to keep this pressure on, but he immediately takes that next shot. It's caused him major problems here. He has to run back.
That feels
Still railable. Try and play this quietly here. Red, he's on the side. He's going to have Mega health. Well, Lua is sent in this back corner of the map here, just trying to reach for any scraps that he can find to stay alive. Getting that lower armor shard by LG. He's going to keep running, but look at that. Beautiful rocket there, but the defensive shots going out. Red just does not have the opportunity to push in.
But Red's going to pick himself up that heavy armor, and that's the item that we've been talking about this entire match. Is so important to these champs. And he's now gotten it for himself completely uncontested. And as we've said many times before, Lua is down at a dangerous point. 2 rails, misses the 3rd rail. The 3rd rail would have cinched the deal for him. Red is looking so low right here as he forces Lua out of the Mega Room, and Lua's just having to run, licking the wounds, but he's more than happy to do that as he's 2 frags up 5 minutes in on Blood Covenant.
And right, we know Lua likes to play a bit of a defensive game, right? He's very good at it. And while there's still 5 minutes to go, yes, it's a lot of time, but it's definitely a style to play that he's going to be comfortable playing, especially when you hit rails like that. He's going to keep the pressure on Red, not allow him to get too much of a stack advantage, even if he's out of the map like he is right now. Missed rail from Red, crucial for Lua. Can't take a shot right now because he will be absolutely only 2 rails. Does take the rail, but he gets one in return, so not the end of the world for him. Rocket jumping over, securing that little bit of extra ammo.
That exchange of rails, though, just completely negates the whole point of picking up the Mega Health right there. Sure, it saved him from dying, but there's no real point in him picking it up anymore. As it's going to look like that, yeah, Redoxide has picked up that heavy, although he eats a ton of shaft as he goes up the jump pad there. Lua not knowing where he went, Redoxide with the great escape there. And yeah, Redoxide's going to have to make something of this soon. Like, time is running away rapidly here for the Sydney sider.
Especially in the situation where he's now, like, all this little bit of damage does so much, and this is going to be a beautiful rocket jump straight up and direct, and he's even going for the spawn frag here as well. This is a good situation for Lua now. He's 3 frags ahead. It's Red still with nothing. He's got the selection item. Goes for the heavy. Definitely the best choice right on this Anarchy, because he's got that inject. It's going to be back in a few seconds. Even catches Red out. Doesn't quite get the shot off, but Red delayed.
He knew where he was. Water rail. He clipped him as he jumped through there. That's pixel perfect right there. And here we are. It's going to make a fight of it here. Red's really got no choice but to make a fight of it. The Ghost Walk comes out. It's an aggressive one. He's going for the inside out. Doesn't make it stick. But the exchange is happening. And this favours Lua so much here. And Lua mops him up. Yeah. The shaft comes out. Not the cleanest frag of all time.
I think Red actually hit harder there, but right, you just saw it purely just came down to the fact that Lua was controlling that. He had that inject, he had the heavy, and that was what won him that fight effectively. That's all it was.
It was a desperate play from
Yep.
Red, and it was a situation that definitely favoured Lua more, especially when the inside out wasn't going to hit. Maybe you should have backed away, but as we keep saying, the clock is ticking down. 4 frags, Blood Covenant, 3 minutes left.
And especially, right, look, Lewis just hit another 2 more rails, and I think at this point, Red is just praying, right, he needs a Hail Mary play if he can get something to go. But Lewis is just going to keep the pressure on. Look at this, he's going to try and get this next rail off here. Red doesn't have that railgun. He's forced to use the machine gun. He's getting decent damage with it, but as soon as that extra rail connects, even falling back to go for that little bit of health now. Lewis got no more rails, so...
At this point, Red needs to get up, go, unplug Lua's mouse and run back to his machine quicker. Something you can do, which you couldn't do in the past 3 splits.
That's true, that's true.
Here we go, and just, yeah, Lua with the great escape happening there as well. He didn't let himself get as low as he did previously, and just all he needs to do is maintain at this point.
Yeah, and look, Lua pretty much hasn't made a mistake, right? He hasn't made it. This defensive play he's had has been perfect. He's been so many times where we've seen pretty much this exact situation. We've seen Lua on like sub 100 health. He's been almost railable, and he's just playing on these like low, quiet parts of the map. He's just skating around as he goes to get armor, and then he takes these fights and he gets these beautiful defense. So this might be a kill here for Red, and it is.
There it
but
is.
look at that, 24 HP is all he's got left. Yes, he has the heavy here. Yes, he's
You can't fight back.
immediate push in,
Can't
and Lua,
fight back.
he knows how much damage he's done, immediately refrags that, and that's just taken any chance of Red potentially coming back in this map. This will definitely be going in the way of Lua. We are going to a first set.
First set, and we're getting 3 maps in our first set here.
And
Has Redoxide already called the GG, has he?
And I think the GGs have been called, I'm assuming.
I'm assuming it's not a technical issue.
Look, I don't think it's either way. It wouldn't have made a impact, I think, on the results. We're just getting confirmation here. We're just looking back to the players.
No, Redoxide's sitting there at his PC.
No, okay. I think, yeah, so this is the GG there on that one.
That's the GG.
Yeah, so it's, a case of resetting now, right? Getting ready for the next map. Thinking, all right, how are we going to play this? What are we going to do next? And
I don't even know what our third map is going into this. I didn't look that far ahead, but 3 maps, first match. What a way to start the competition, hey? What a way to start the competition.
Yeah, I'm afraid, Mikko, we've had a few tech issues that we haven't been paying too much attention on the map picks just yet. So hopefully, I think we have everything sorted now. Audio seems good, so we hopefully we'll be going back now into
Oh, what was that?
Okay, I think I just heard Redoxide might be having a tech issue, so...
I mean, it was that far along in the game, though, that...
Yeah, I don't know when something happened, but, so
it was definitely after his last frag. I mean, there was 2 minutes left on the map. We know that the
And look, either way, the comeback there was a chance, right? But the fact that Lua, he knew how much health Red was on, immediately went in for that refrag, and there was just nothing he could have done about it, so...
Yeah. So can we see what the Okay, so what have we got here? There's something new to see that we haven't seen before, mate.
So yeah, well, we get this last map going. Let's just have a quick little gander here at what we've got going on here for the these 2 players. We've just got a bit of summary, showing how these 2 players have stacked up in the previous tournament during the splits and all that. How they sort of are rated as players. Well, we just get Red back into game and sort it out.
Back into full screen. That's where we want him. So yeah, as you can see, the overall ranks, these 2 here have actually been pretty close over the years. You can see based on the graph, like tournament finishes where they've both competed. They've been relatively close to each other here. Yeah, Vic versus New South Wales. We had the classic start to an event like this in Australia. We all know the Victorians are the better players in any case.
Always, exactly. I will have no other argument about that.
Yeah, and just the numbers. The numbers are speaking for themselves. But I mean, the numbers also didn't predict that we were going to see a 3rd map in our first game. I'm going to keep coming back to that. 3rd map in the first game.
And 3rd map, Mikko, to answer your question, we are going to Molten Falls, the map that we're coming back was out for split 3. I think you've got some. I think you've had some opinions on Molten Falls, if I'm not mistaken.
No, I have opinions on Deep Embrace. You know, not Molten Falls.
We all have opinions on Deep Embrace. Let's be honest there.
I get the feeling based on what was said in Discord the other day that Sync Error has opinions on Deep Embrace as well. But no, Molten Falls, it's something that I don't think we saw in any of the splits coming into split 1, split 2, split 3. I don't think we saw Molten Falls at all.
Maybe split
memory.
1.
I don't remember seeing it there.
Yeah, maybe someone in chat can remember something. I'm sure there's some people who was playing in some of the splits, but
yeah, unlike when we're at home, I don't have a second, third, or fourth monitor to go looking up the histories right now. But yeah, it's one of those maps which is definitely it favours the slower, more methodical player. It favours the getting control and not losing control. And I think we're still waiting for Redoxide, or is that everyone ready to go? Just taking a look at the player cams here in the.
Actually, that's a good point. Yeah, I'm just going to say so actually that was a map in some of the lower divs. I think there was a bit of a different map pool. So we did actually see some of Molten, which again, personally myself, am a fan.
Yeah, it's not a bad map, not a bad map at all. Yeah, as I was saying before, though, it's definitely, it favours the player who's happy to slowly gain control and then hold that control. It favours the stability, and it can be a challenge to get back into this map. Once you've lost that control, once you are pushed out of all the good positions, sure, you can get the strong stuff like the rail and you can set up good rocket angles, but unless you're able to get onto those items, which are just so hard here, it can be hard to get back in. So it's one of those maps where you can see the scores blow out. And then in the last couple of minutes, it swings back around.
Yep. We do see here Red is playing the Visor versus Lure on the Eisen. And how do you rate that? Like, I definitely think that personally, the Visor for me is right. It's such a good champion on this map.
It's
quite
classic.
It's got a large map. There's plenty of sort of the Eisen. Look, we've seen it work certainly, definitely. But there's places where you can certainly make that tower, especially around you've got around rail heavier and any areas like that. Great place to chuck it. But just overall, I think, especially with the way Red's been hitting some of these maps, his rail's been fantastic. So I think the Visor is really going to help suit him for this. Yeah,
the thing that cements me as Visor being a great champ on this map is one of the early AQLs, I believe it was, where we actually saw Python playing, and he hit this amazing rail rocket combo on the LG stairs. We'll start with Redoxide here, as he's going to be making the play of leaving that heavy armor up. He's more than happy to stack up with other things first in case Lure gets in nice and early. He's keeping that sight up, pops it now, hits a lovely opening rail.
Great way to begin the map, right? And here we go, a second one as well. And he's going to keep trying to push in here. Third one does not connect. Turret has gone down, and he's just going to push straight into that midi, and that's maybe save Lure, but no, Red's just going to keep aggressing, damaging with the rail, using it like a shotgun, and the rockets are not enough.
The Gen Z shotgun rail, mate. The Gen Z shotgun rail. But that's what you got to do on this map. You can't lose control, which means the aggression has to come out. You have to make those plays where anywhere else you would say, no, don't do that. That's a stupid play. Redoxide knew he had him.
Yep, 100%. And then even after that first shot, right, he had the weapons, I think, at that point. It was only really the rockets for Lure, but the LG
great
Bob is huge amount of damage. Look, Red just trying to push in, and he needs to hit this rail. He does, but unfortunately, the 2 bubbles there keeps him alive. Look, he's still on 100 health. He had plenty of health in that fight, and Lure just hitting so much damage, but I don't think Red was prepared for it, and that was exactly what it came down to. He just did not expect to take so much, but look at that immediately, that rail coming back in, the sight used. Gets that shot. Look, Lure's going to fall back straight. He's got that health there. But, the mech hasn't done a huge amount for him, right? He's only got a little bit of overstack. Look at Red's stack immediately after coming back here. He doesn't have the weapons to fight, but he's got the stack to work with. He's got the stack
to get the stack of weapons is essentially what we're looking at here.
100%.
And that's what he's more than happy to do. I say he's going to sneak around, get what he needs. He just comes charging through that heli straight into the heavy room. And Lure's the one. He's the one who just got the frag, but he's the one who's having to play a little bit quieter, a little bit more carefully. Both players want this heavy. Lure gives away his position, Redoxide immediately on him. Immediately on him, but both players just backing up onto their item here. And you can see, just both players not willing to overextend yet. 2 minutes in, overextending and losing that frag, you know, it's risky to do, because if you gamble and it lands on black, you're going to be in a world of hurt and molten.
Yep, 100%.
Excellent escape there by Redoxide. Lure lands 2 fantastic rails, but not enough to seal the deal, and Redoxide's able just to back off and, you know, restack up.
He did actually go for a rail site there, so he has to use the visor.
Yeah.
So that's now down, but mind you, look, he's already got a halfway down. There's so many time vials around that side of the map, right? He's already got the first 3 around that banana area. He's probably going to try and get some more. He go for rockets now. He's got his arsenal up. Lure throwing that turret in the high ground, which I don't think Red's really gone through that area very much.
Once he's gone
yeah,
through.
so the turret hasn't really done a huge amount. And even the first time he did come through, the turret was still there and still did nothing. But mind you, that tri-ball here,
all of the tri-ball.
Immediate return by rail from both players, and the tri-ball in return from Red, getting nothing compared to what Lewis did. Item still synced. Will be Mega going towards Red. Lure taking the heavy.
He's going here where Lure went. He knows he's right above him. Is Lure going to make the... Redoxide going to make the drop play? He makes the drop play. Rocket doesn't land like he wants, but the sound of him hitting on the platform there lets Lure know exactly where he is. Redoxide's in a whole world of hurt there, a spot you don't really want to be in, and Lure tries to push the advantage, but Redoxide sneaks out. Great read by Lure there, guessing what Redoxide wants.
The timing on that push in there, right as the Tara was coming out. Red takes it out, but Lure, that's enough time for him to just fall back. He gets that heavy, and finally these two decide to disengage, right? They're sitting there in this doorway for so long trying to get someone, but no one was able to get that engagement. I think there was the thing, right? Both players were just hoping to hit that one like direct rocket or 180 running rocket, and once they do, they're going to just push in with that. But they didn't get what they needed. Falling back, and again, Lure, he's loving this high ground position, right? He's controlling this. It makes it so hard for Red to push in, and exactly like that.
Again.
Huge amount of damage trouble, but the LG, the rockets are not connecting, and the rails come in from both players. Lure is the
Lure
one
has to back
here,
off.
and he falls back. The thing is, items are still synced, right? So he's going to be able to fall back, stay on this Mega. He's got plenty of armor and health on this side of the map. So he's actually not too bad of a position. However, he has lost that higher position, that stronger high ground.
Say it's not that bad. The way the exchange actually went there, Lure's actually in the slightly better position, although the weapon choice there is a little bit questionable. Only 11 damage coming out from that tri-bolt. Great defensive rockets and more tri-bolt damage coming out from there. We haven't really seen Timmy affect a fight much this battle. It's
No,
he does hit harder on LAN, and especially with the latest 100 FPS patch, but hasn't really been in an effective position just yet. As we're seeing Redoxide more than happy to just sit around and wait for Lure to come to him there.
And I wonder if we're going to see this. Oh, here we go. This could be the first kill. Another kill here. Red pushing with the LG. Huge amount of damage.
Oh, self-damage. He's going to go for it. He's going to go for it.
The
shotgun.
Not in great health here, especially after that rail. Lure's going to be the one who can fall back. He's got a great amount of armor to fall back on Red. He's got nothing. He's gone up to about, what, 70 health here.
Yeah, they're both still well within the railable zone. They are here. 90 damage from that. Oh, Red's probably, Lure's probably a little bit out of the railable zone now. But for a moment there, they were both definitely railable. Lure's stacking up great with that armor there.
And I love the respect, right, we're seeing from these two players. They are having such close engagement, and then they know that one little misplay right like that, right? You push into a room, you're not prepared for a little trap there set by Lure. The rocket launching Red off the edge. And the thing is now that has set this into motion, right? Now 2 kills. It's 1 frag ahead. Not as much pressure on them. Red just pushes straight in. The LG doing huge work.
And the mutual. A
mutual in the end works out for Lure, but Red, he's actually going to get probably the better spawn here. He's going to be able to get over these items. They've got dropped. He's got his full arsenal. Both major items up right now, and both got picked up on the exact same frame.
They both tried to put the items out of sync, and both managed to put it in sync.
Or something? Are they looking up at the...
That is 100% what happened there. They were trying to avoid having the items in sync, and we have the items back in sync here. Again, probably better position for Redoxide here with that that heavy, although it looks like they're going to be switching items once again with Redoxide now getting the Mega and Lure's going to... Yeah, sorry, Redoxide getting the Mega and Lure going to get the heavy.
Well, I think the thing is Lure...
It's early in the morning.
It feels like it, honestly. We've only just started, right? This is the first game of many for others, and we're already... Well, it's already lunchtime almost, Asbach. Come on.
Oh, no.
Anyway, we're going to see another engagement again in this rail room. That first rocket comes into Lure. We're going to push straight in.
What a rocket.
Huge,
what a
Red
rocket.
just hitting damage after damage. Every single rocket connecting perfectly, bouncing Lure around, making it impossible for that LG to get. Great kill from him. And we are tied back up 3-3.
You know, we talk about map control, we talk about item control. Red just manhandled Lua then. He said, nope, this is exactly where I want you to be, and you are going to just have to play with my
Because we've
rocket.
seen it the other way around, right? It's usually Lua in that room. And this is the exact situation right now what we've seen numerous times. Red's trying to push in this room and Lua's defending it. But as soon as Red got in that room, he was able to do exactly the same thing Lua did with just as much success, and he was able to turn that into a frag.
He was doing it with rockets instead of tri-bolt as well.
And that's the thing, right? I think
more damage.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And once you get that quick bounce, first great rail there, and he's going to go for the jump shot and trying to get it. Doesn't quite see the shot. Here's the TP. He's going to just keep pushing in here. After that first shot, knows there's a good situation. The trap set by Lua. The turret comes out. There we go.
Timmy's doing a little bit of damage there.
He finally shoots in. Now the sight comes out. You're going to know. Lua is towards Mega. Timmy is still up. Red will finally deal with that.
I was going to say, this is where the starting nail gun is definitely needed. But no, Redoxide's just put himself in such a good position here.
Red's only got one rocket right now, so this is something he's going to be real careful of. If Lua pushes through, he's going to be forced onto LG. Obviously, you do have a little bit more LG cell now as well, remember. It's got a bit more ammo, so...
Lua would have heard that, that miss jump there as well. Both players with the respect backing off from each other. Red not willing to dive in on him.
Well, the thing is, right, with 2 minutes left, we've seen how slow these frags have been coming. Is this going to be an OT? Are we going to go to an OT third
I would
map?
not be surprised if we go to overtime. Both players hitting rails there, both players backing away immediately.
Yeah. I think both players are going to be playing basically the game of, I want to get into a real good situation, but I want to hit 2 rails before I make any play here. And we've seen Red, right? He got that first rail, but he didn't want to progress too far. He knew there was still the mega health there for Lua to pick up, and he went straight picked up afterwards, meaning that the stack advantage wasn't there for Red just yet. He's going to have side up. And again, we're just going to play the sound game, play the patient game, try to find your opponent, get rid of this turret.
Both players are playing the game of, hey, let's throw out the schedule. We're gonna get that overtime.
Look, we can play with on tech force.
Red coming in, the rocket hit is massive, but the return rocket from Lua is also massive. Doesn't do quite as much damage. That's a lot of LG damage coming out there. The rails are just missing left and right. The end of map nerves are definitely starting to come in. You're not seeing it in the shakes. Both players have to back away.
And you look how much health he's fallen back on, right? He's still got 200 stack. And he's like, you know what? I don't want to have anything to do with this fight. I've missed a couple of shots. And that's the thing. That's what some of these good players do, right? If you're not feeling that fight.
Map 1, Map 2, he would have continued that fight.
I agree 100%. Especially in this situation, right, with a minute to go. You do not want to put yourself a minute down against a player like Lua. So Red's just going to play this safe game. He knows how important it is not to go down here, right? Catches him as he flies by.
And if this is what we're seeing in the round games as well, like this isn't even a knockout game. This is round-based games here. Like, you're not out of the tourney. It's just affecting where you're going to be tomorrow. And they're still showing this level of respect. Both players don't want to start off their LAN adventure, their LAN time with a loss, as that's a lot of chase damage that Redoxide's doing. Lua is almost gone. 10 seconds left on the clock. And no, they're willing to back away and just respect each other that little bit more. Although Redoxide's going in here, he doesn't want it to go overtime. The rocket comes out. Sudden death, Lua gets it on the buzzer.
Right on the clock. And just from one, so look, Lua just playing that little bit more passively, right? Didn't want to go into that room straight away. Knew that Red was going to probably come over there, right? That's the room where you're going to go stack up to, right? There's so much health in that spot to go to. There's so much there for you to sort of pick up, right? And that's the thing. He read it perfectly. Red came in trying to get the catch on him, and Lua was just waiting outside.
We saw
LG
what
out as
happened.
soon as bounce pad, and
we saw what happened as Red went up that bounce pad. He was not expecting to see. He was not expecting to see Lua there. You saw the hesitation.
Yep.
Like, oh wait, I'm being shot from someone, and all of a sudden, he's dead.
Yeah, 100%, exactly. And look, these guys played that so fantastically for that first set. If this is going to be the level of Quake we're going to have for the whole weekend, we're going to be in for a really...
This is Div 1, baby. This is Div 1, baby.
And, these guys are playing for a lot, right? This is, there's the bragging, right? There's the money on the line. It's everything here, right?
Yeah.
It's a LAN tournament. It's crucial. Everyone wants to be able to say, hey, look, I won, the KDC, LAN championship. It's a big thing. So these players are all going to be playing their absolute heart out, and they're all just top-tier players. They all deserve to be here. They've all worked their way through the season. But that was just game 1.
Game 2 coming up soon. We're looking at Dan versus Knight. That is going to be a fun one.
I'll say that's just a classic matchup, right? We've seen it so many times now throughout these splits, and I think, everyone loves seeing this set. These guys play it so well. They've always got close matches.
Split 1, split 2 finals. Like,
yeah, exactly.
This is what we've seen over the last 12 months is, until Kama came back on the scene and shook things up, this is what we saw.
Yeah, beautiful. Anyway, look, we're going to jump straight off into this next map. So We'll be on for 2 minutes. We'll get everything running, and we're going to jump straight into the next set. So do not go anywhere. We are back in. We said we are not having the breaks here. We have got to get games going. So, as we said before, we are moving on to Knight versus Dan the King. So, what do we think, Dasblock?
Knight versus Dan as we were saying before, it's the classic matchup. It's the one that we've seen over and over again the last 12 months. And up until recently, it was pretty much the grand final that you'd expect. So seeing these two so early is an absolute treat, it is. I mean, if we're just looking at how the previous fights went in the finals between these two, you'd want to give it to Knight. You would want to say Knight's probably going to have this, but then it was Dan and Kama for split 3 finals. Is Dan going that little bit further, a little bit better, a little bit harder?
Look, I think Dan, he's been putting in some work. I think he's here to win, right? He wants to, he's going to be serious here. I think, look, Knight definitely...
He's not here to play with spiders.
Exactly. Knight's, look, he's definitely got a good shot. He's been such a strong player. He's been so impressive. We've seen him take maps from Dan before, right? He's beaten Dan before in the KDC, right? This is not a one-sided match.
Yeah, this isn't a case of where you'd take, the local champ and go, oh yeah, easy win for him. This is going to be a hard slog for both players. I reckon there's a good chance we could see 3 maps out of these two as well.
Yep, I'd be totally happy with that. We've already seen what we saw in these first map. Let's start on Knight. And again, we're seeing
the classic,
immediate,
the good old mega pickup there. And we're actually seeing a bit more of an aggressive start from both players, going for that little bit of chip damage straight away. Both players not afraid to get that damage out. The Pika comes out nice and early. Doesn't get as much damage as he would want on, but that's a lot of stack for Dan already gone, as Knight is just charging through the map, and he's taken this by the horns.
He's playing this confident, right? Like, this is a confident-looking Knight. He looks like he wants to take this, flying straight around the corner, straight into the...
Cops a rail for it, though.
And Dan just in the high ground position right now. Really difficult, yeah, and that's exactly what happens when you try and push up the switch. That miss rail from Dan, and Knight's going to say, but Dan, he doesn't miss rails.
He doesn't miss rails.
Exactly, and he cleans up Knight, and that was a frag where I was so confident I was going to take that, and another miss rail from Dan. Maybe feeling a little bit nervous or something, maybe on the stage.
I didn't think Dan feels nerves, mate. I'm pretty sure he had them surgically removed 10 years ago. Let's be honest about that. He's picked up that first frag in commanding fashion. Doesn't care about the Pika at all, just more than happy to jump straight into it. Knight's pushing in, and the rockets from Knight are nice, but it's not a clean frag, Knight just holds on barely by the skin of his teeth, and he's not going to be able to push for a conversion here. And this fight for the Mega is not going to go the way that Knight envisions, as he is forced to back away, tries to catch Dan going for the rail, but Dan's not missing his LG today either.
Yeah, you get caught in a situation like that. It's such a rough little spot. Some of those areas, if you get trapped with LG, you are going down. There's no way about it. And that's exactly what we saw here. And Dan, he might not be hitting the rails right now, but he's certainly hitting the LG to make up for it.
I like how we started off with Dan doesn't miss rails too. Dan's not hitting rails now.
Look, he's just going to start off just by making this look silly. And after this, he's going to start hitting everything. Now, don't worry. Trust us, it will happen.
No, here we go. Like, how big of a contrast is this to our first matchup between Redoxide and Lure? Redoxide and Lure, we were 2 minutes in and we were still looking for that first little bit to happen. Knight and Dan, we're already 3 frags into this, mate. Like,
and that's the thing, right? So Dan's known for being quite an aggressive player. Knight, while naturally, usually was quite a defensive player, he's sort of, I was going to come out of his shell a bit more.
Yeah.
But he's certainly a much more offensive player now. He's happy to take these fights. And you saw at the start of this match, right? He was happy to just fly straight in. It slowed down very well. I think now he seems to be hitting the shots from the point. He's been a little bit more respectful, but I think initially he was just sort of taking it to him. It's like, look, I'm here to fight. I'm here to play. And he just pushes in. And he was taking these fights really well.
Dan's heard you compliment his shots, now watch him miss.
Yeah.
No. And here we go. Dan is hitting his rails again. That's 2 rails in a row, forcing Knight off of that Mega Hulk, which still has 10 seconds until spawn. And Dan's just going to be more than happy to keep Knight over in that LG room. There's not much Knight can do here. The Mega's up. It's just there for Dan to use whenever he wants. And yeah, Dan's looking to be in a good controlling position right now. He's going to have both of the majors to his name in a second. I'm sure he's got the timing of that heavy in his head, and yes, he does as he's picking that up.
And it's looking a bit scary for Knight here. He's got to start getting some armor. He's got to try and get some damage on this. Look at the stack that Dan has right now. That's just, you can't push into a 300 stack Visor And Knight's only
Sure you
just
can.
now picked up a first armor shot. He's only just got to 150. Like, he's just stuck out of this map right now. It's smart that he's playing this slow, but the problem is when you're playing against a Visor, slow play, it doesn't work. And that's the exact reason
That was a
it doesn't
headshot.
work, because he's going for the style points, right? At this point. But yeah, that's the thing, you can't play that slow constantly against the Visor.
Dan's going to go into it. He knows he's low. Dan was looking for the easy frag there. Knight just hid behind the geometry just that little bit there. Kind of averted disaster a little bit, as he's going to be looking to make a play for this Mega. He hits the rail, but Dan just hits so much LG. That was 100 LG in the blink of an eye there, and Knight's got no choice but no, he's stuck. Knight's stuck.
And like, when was the last time Knight left the start? Like, that's a great one, but he...
Oh.
The Pika actually did a lot there. He says, I'm surprised Knight actually lived there. If he didn't get that huge amount of damage followed by the Pika, he was gone. But the problem again, we see the same switch. Look at the top of your screen. Knight, he's only just picked up that 25. That's what that gives him shard armor. He's probably about to lose a bunch, but there we go. There's half of it gone already. And he's just...
Yeah, Dan just knew exactly where he was going. Like, he saw Knight going there. You've got two options, you know. You're going up the bounce pad or you're going through the telly. Dan knew he was going up the bounce pad there. No questions about it.
But look, we're saying like how, like, full credit right now to Knight as well.
He's not dead.
He's not, exactly. He's survived all this time, and it's like, even now, look at this, Dan's now railable. Knight actually had the stack, like, hit another shot here, and Knight, he's hitting so much damage right now. Dan, unfortunately, gets that one in return. Yeah, beautiful, and then we got another one.
Dan's in trouble.
Critically low, though. Who's the one who's going to have the balls to go for this Mega?
Neither's going to do it. It's just like what we were seeing in the previous game. I say that as so much shaft damage from Dan comes out. He pulls a lure. He pulls a lure.
1 HP. I don't know how he steals that away. That was such a phenomenal amount of LG damage there. He's hitting so hard with that weapon. I'd love to look at the percentage right now, but we don't have time. The map is just full of action. We do not want to stop for a second.
But no, here we go. Dan's done a great job. Like, Dan was in the perfect position for Knight to get a revenge frag there. Words are freaking hard, mate. He was in the perfect position to get a revenge frag there, and Knight just wasn't able to do it. Dan just was the... Speaking about dropping, Dan making a bit of a movement error, dropping in probably when he shouldn't have there.
And just look at the amount of stack that Knight's left on after that.
That was clean.
That was a very clean frag. That's a really crucial time, I think, for as well, to get that kill. He's now only one behind, and not only is he one behind, you know, still plenty of time to play. He's got the items.
I'm not going to call it early. It's nowhere near.
Oh, definitely not.
Nowhere near early calling yet, mate.
While it may feel like Dan's been in control this entire map, look at the score, so right?
Yeah.
And that's again a testament to
if you can't kill him.
That's a testament to how good Knight is as a defensive player when he wants to be. You know, yes, he can be more offensive now. Trap set by Dan. Yeah, he is so good. 12 HP. 12. That track is so good.
He's going straight in for the refrag. Dan is not letting that happening. 1-2 rockets. See you later, Knight.
That's, I think, what Dan is one of probably the best players for. Just going into the refrags, the real aggression after, you know, get that opponent's play.
It also was the fact that Knight jumped straight down for that lower health bubble instead of going around maybe to the lightning gun room or similar. If Knight hadn't gone for that health bubble, he wouldn't have met Dan with a rocket launcher, and Dan with a rocket launcher off a spawn when you've only got 12 HP. It's not a good time.
No, certainly not. And right now, what's not a good time is Knight's stack, and Dan with the visor sight. It is now out, so Knight has a little bit more safety, but he's actually trying to push through the missed rail. He is railable this whole time, so he's lucky he didn't go down there for a 50 frag Dan.
Yeah, I'm not going to claim Dan's hitting all his shots right now because we've seen what happened with that last time.
Well, look, he's been hitting the LG to make up for any missed rails, I think, so.
Yeah. But it's just worth pointing out, like, obviously we can see the ghosts through the walls here. Just the reads that Dan is having on Knight here. Like, anywhere Knight's wanted to go, Dan's knowing where he's going.
And Dan kept in that LG banana area for, what, 2 minutes straight? 2.5 to 3 minutes almost at that sort of start of the map?
And this
isn't nothing you could have done about it. There was nothing Knight was able to do to get away.
Awoken's not Blood Run. You can't win maps by hiding in the side rooms. Thank Christ we didn't get that map in the map pool today. The rails that are exchanged, both players actually hitting their rails, the return rail from Knight, not actually connecting there in the banana, as Knight's actually going to have to back away. Goes for the fly, and Dan sees exactly where he's going. That's a free frag for Dan. And now we're looking at a 2 frag lead with 1.5 minutes left on the clock. I'm still not going to call it. I'm not going to do it yet. No, not yet. Although,
Takes one
look at all...
Oh, this rail damage with the LG. And Machine Gun still open. Dan only needs to hit one more rail. And even with the Swarm Fragger as
Make
well,
that 3 rails in a row.
this is going to be difficult now with pretty much a minute to go, 3 frags, and Dan actually not punishing the bounce up there.
You know what? Minute left. 3 frags. I'm calling it.
He's calling
Dan's got map 1.
The famous does what, calling the map over.
I wouldn't call this early these days, though.
Yeah, no, I have to agree with you. Dan, a little bit of self-damage, but a bit more self-damage.
Dan heard what we said, and he's like, I want to make it a little bit more tighter.
Exactly. So I heard your challenge. I can take this.
I'm just looking over there. He doesn't have the earmuffs on. He can probably hear us. Make it a little bit more interesting. But no, I think we can call this. Dan is taking away map 1, and we're going to be going on into the second map in the next 30 seconds. What an opening map, though. Like, all props tonight. Like, even though he hasn't won this map, the control and the survivability he's had here should give him a lot of confidence going into map 2. He should be feeling good about himself with that. But no, good to see both players playing through to the conclusion. And GG's there to Dan. That's a 6-4. Not bad for an opening map of this match. As I said, a little bit more explosive than what we saw at the start from Lure and Redox side, but ultimately, what a result. But yeah, what's the next map we're going into? I did miss that in the chat. I did.
Let's have a quick little gander here what we're going into next.
Feels so weird not being able to control the game.
I know. Must feel helpless over there.
I feel very... all I can do is talk.
Well, that's right. That's all everyone wants from you, Dazbok.
Nah, so... Yeah, look at those stats. Like, they're such closely matched up players, they are. Like, yeah. That's like... I don't know what more I can say. You can see Knight's journey over the series of AQLs and recently the KDC splits. Like, he's just been on the rise the entire time. Like, okay, we can ignore that little bit of a KwachiCon dip there.
That was a big. Well, that was a stacked tournament. That had international, players. There's all the top tier players from all.
And it looks bad just because both players are constantly so high up in the. So high up in the rankings.
Exactly. So, these two are both, as I say, top 3 right in Australia. I don't think there's really any argument about that whatsoever. I do think that map could have gone either way, right? We saw such close games there between. There's such few little critical frags, right? That one drop down from Knight, right? I think near Mega. That kind of cost him. That
cost him the map. Yeah,
exactly,
that opened up the floodgates for Dan.
That was such a big opportunity, and that was 1 HP is all it was. So if it was just that one little extra tick of LG, this could have been something completely different. Yeah.
But I think we've also got to point out again, looking at the way these two have played and their results over the years, like. And you've said it as well. Knight was always known as that highly defensive player, the one who was quiet, stayed in the shadows, so to speak. And recently, especially in the splits, we've just seen this extra aggression and offensive playstyle come out from him, which it seems a lot of Div 1 players still aren't expecting, especially towards the start of a lot of maps. Like Awoken, traditionally for Knight, if you even go back and look at his KwachiCon matches, the ones that were streamed, he was holding back on them. He was reserved, but yeah, KDC split, we've seen the aggressive Awoken coming out from him.
Yep, 100%. And that's the thing, right? This is the time when you're here to, give them your all, show what you're made of. There's no holding back here anymore.
No. But Corrupted Keep, the railgun's taken out of the equation. We can't have Dan reacting to us, complimenting or making fun of his rail here. This is all coming down.
But mind you, his LG was looking better than his rail.
LG was looking amazing.
And that's what we're going to have here. So we've got Dan on the BJ.
Both players with amazing LG.
With the Galena. And Knight will be the one who gets the spawn here. Why is there... That's land for you, right? Pushing straight in, the dual-wield machine gun. And look how much stacked Knight's... You wouldn't even know he's picked up Mega.
No, he didn't pick up Mega. That was over 100 damage straight away out out the door there. This isn't a map where we're going to see them, you know, sitting back and taking things quietly. This is a map where they're going hard.
Oh yeah, 100%. These two are both just going to be, I think we'll see plenty of aggression here. Mind you, right, Knight's already on the back foot here. Fortunately, the items, right, they're both synced up, so he's not going to be completely out of the map this early on, because CK is definitely a map you do not want to get pushed behind on early. If you get stuck behind, it can be so hard to get back in. It's such easy to stop a cycle, right? But look at this, he doesn't even have rockets here. He wants to try and get them, and just hoping that Dan's not waiting there for him. And
Dan is waiting with the machine gun. That is so much machine gun damage from both players. You can just see the blue bars at the top of your screens just shrinking and shrinking and shrinking for both players. Dan with the dual wield ready to go there. That is so much damage coming out from him. Knight's down to 60-60 stack. Dan also wasn't in such a fantastic position, but that mega health is putting him right back there. And I reckon we're going to be seeing our first frag come soon. You're not going to be getting a chance to breathe. The first frag could come at any moment with the way these two are playing.
And I think once we see the first frag, I wouldn't be surprised if we see another 2 or 3, you know, chained together after that.
No,
Certainly there's no best. Right now, that's a fantastic job. And go down with the LG, and look at that huge damage. And he survived that on a pretty good amount of stack here. Mega's just going to try and push right through. Mega's there ready, and Knight's actually giving it up. He's gone up through the TP. He's got more.
Is he going to lose out on the heavy as well now? Is Dan going to get both? No, the shotgun.
Yep. Beautiful choice. Swapping out to the shotgun. Gets a big shot off. And oh my god, what's that machine gun off spawn? Look at Knight's stack is just gone. It's just vanished. Where did it go?
It just went nowhere. But this is one of those maps. The way to play it, the way to either get yourself back in or maintain the lead was explained to me by Steege a few years ago, and unfortunately the advice I can't actually relay here because it was absolutely laden with profanity, but it involves just jumping on people, and that's what's happening here.
Knight and Dan player there hitting anything with a shotgun. I think they were just having a bit of a friendly banter, but then finally they decide to actually try and get the kill. Knight's the one in the end who decides, I want to get this frag. Right now, another LG so much damage, and right now Knight is doing such a good job with his LG. Again, he must have heard his comment that Dan's not well. I can do that too. And playing the buff for laner as well, right? Laner got a big update, right? A little bit more health on the
60 health on the totems now. Yeah. The same amount of health on the totem as the damage that it gives out.
Yeah, so there's a big buff to the laner, and that was so close to go flying through on.
I think Knight just read the serial number on Dan's rocket there as it went past his face. Although all the damage coming out there is going to take away just that little bit of armor that Dan's picked up. As yeah, Knight being 5 frags up, he's more than happy to let Dan be the one to jump on him now, so to speak. Yeah,
and this is a really interesting start, right? 3 minutes in, and Knight's 5-0 up. This is such a good start. This is definitely the way he wants this to go.
Yes,
right?
this is the way you need to start.
You want this map. You want to delete him. Dan is trying to push in. The defensive rockets are phenomenal. Dan trying to get him with the LG. Not a chance. Knight says, I'm not letting this fire.
Oh, that was a direct.
Throws the totem onto him, and
that was a mutual.
Suiciding with the self-damage on the rocket. I thought he was going to back off the shot there. Pushing in here, both players trying to get this kill, and Knight's the one. He gets that spawn in the middle. He picks up both weapons, and Dan's only got a nail gun. Not a chance, and still Dan technically scoreless.
Much as I love that that nail gun, just nail gun versus LG, not going to happen.
That would have probably worked if it wasn't that exact scenario, right? No. Because the problem is both those weapons dropped. There was a rocket and an LG in the center. If they weren't there, he would have been probably won that with the nail. And look at that again. Knight's LG is just. You know, I have to just check. I'm checking right now.
Check it.
What LG are these guys hitting?
42% apiece. They're both hitting the same. So it is coming down to the stack that they have. And it is coming down to the items they control, the area they own, and what they've got to fall back on.
Oh my god, Dan surviving on 5 HP. One more LG cell. Again, both players so good. Here, both the shotgun comes in. The LG is good, and Knight getting in so close with that shotgun. But this is the thing, right?
Keep an eye on the health that they're finishing these fights with.
Exactly.
No player is finishing with a good stack. No one's having a clean frag here. This is just dirty, it's scrappy, and at the moment it's favouring Knight a little bit.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think it just comes out back Galena to extra totem. We've seen triple totem up once already. And it's just something. Again, another LG. If it wasn't for that Mega, Dan would pretty much be dead here. Knight, not in a healthy spot either, though. Has to run this machine gun as well. We've seen how much. We saw at the start, right?
That was just 100 damage at the start.
Exactly. Huge amount of damage to give with that machine gun, especially on LAN.
Interesting choices from Dan there. I think he assumed Knight was low and was going for that hunt because he left one of Knight's totems up. During all of that fighting, Knight had the triple totems up still. He would have been able to lay down one and get that extra overstack. The double rockets, but it's not enough.
He's just pushing straight
19.
through the TP. That's some risky play though from Dan. Like,
Yeah.
that's a bit of a potentially a bit of a overly confident play, maybe should I say?
Do you think maybe we've seen Dan get frustrated for the first time?
I don't think so.
No.
No.
Hold on, I'm just going to take a look. Nah, he still looks calm over there. He still looks calm.
No, I think yeah, it was maybe a bit of a wanted to get something out of the field. And again, Knight just wow. This Knight's at LG
Yeah.
just hitting everything. And he's going to go immediately for Swarm Frag. Gets special, a bit of a patient shot in that last one. Didn't want to try and risk, There's also a couple of totems here. Now Knight, he's up by this LG position, and Mega will be his as well. Can he catch down here?
He's going to have 200 cells for the LG now. I was about to say 100 cells not really enough to be going into a fight with the recent changes to the LG, meaning that, armor's respected properly now. The 200 and the extra fire rate is really necessary. That's the thing though, the extra fire rate on this LG, and both players are still hitting 40+ percentages. Typically when the fire rate goes up, the accuracy number goes down, but that's not the case for these two. Both of them, I don't think anyone would want to meet in the back alley with their Quake Champions shaft out.
Well, we saw, we looked at their graphics before, right, per player,
Yeah.
and you can see the aim of both these players is
They're so close.
they're both top tier, and that's why these guys are, like, top 3 in Australia. And right now, though, we're sort of running out of time. There's 6 frags in this.
There's still plenty of times.
There certainly is, but Knight is playing this so well. Look, he's got a great amount of stack. He's playing this in a position where he can kind of control this part of the map. He doesn't want to allow Dan to get all the tools of the train, and that's the crucial thing. He's seen how it's worked these fights, and if he can just prevent Dan from getting in, he can just get these totems going. He can sit in LG room and just not allow Dan in, right? He can get rockets for free. He's even going to now take he comes out, but huge amount
Look
of
at that damage.
Keep
That's
pushing in.
130 damage straight off the bat. Put an 80 damage rocket on that. It's basically direct at that point.
Yep.
And Knight's just extending that lead. I'm not going to count Dan out of this matchup yet, though. I mean, we saw how quickly those first 5 frags were made by Knight in this map. There's no reason Dan couldn't do that as well. No reason at all.
Mind you, this should be a frag hit. Look, any time that Knight can delay, Dan should really just come through the tick. That's what he decides to do. And there we go. Yep, that one LG tick. All in his Knight getting a little chunk of damage off.
That's the clean frag, though, that Dan would have been looking for. He's come away from that with an okay stack.
Not anymore.
Takes the rocket. Takes the rocket for his trouble. Thank you very much. But having said that, no, Dan is still in actually a pretty good position here, but just the rockets from Knight juggles him, pops him up in the air. Once that happens, there's nothing you can do, and Knight's back on our screens as the last successful killer. And we're hearing the scream coming from Dan there. Knight was in such a healthy position at the conclusion of that fight where they both backed away. He probably could have pushed and just extended that lead a bit more. Doesn't need to. Cops a lot of nails, and there goes a direct.
He's just hitting direct after right, just constantly through these TPs, and I don't. Do we say it? Is it too early?
No, there's still time.
Still time?
I'm channeling the 40 Lions. There's, in all honesty, 10 frags in 2 minutes on CK is entirely doable. Is it doable with this caliber of player against Dan? I don't know, but if anyone can do it, Dan can.
Maybe even more. Knight's playing just so phenomenally. He is just not missing his shots. Does run an LG, and Dan, he's just pushing for a Hail Mary. He's got to get that kill. There's no way other about it. And I think with that one, we are probably calling this one GG. I think we're going to map 3.
I think we're going to map 3. 3 mappers within the first 2 matches that we've seen today. Like, I knew this was going to be something special. I didn't know we were going to be starting out that special.
Yeah, look, it's pretty much been picture perfect. These are phenomenal games, and Dan does clean up the frag here, but look how low. Is he going to go for
I don't know, 10 frags in 1 minute.
Let's see how he goes. Does survive that, only just.
No, I think we're definitely going to get a good one tonight, mate. I think you're right there. And we're going to be going on to the 3rd map. I can't remember what that was. Again, I can't look up the pick bands as we're waiting to go into the
Blood
next
Covenant, I believe,
Blood
if
Covenant.
I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
But,
at least we're not seeing Molten Falls back to back.
Richard, yeah, there will be a B stream set up shortly, probably after lunch, I think.
Yeah, you'll get to see some of the lower div players playing on there, and others who want to have their matches streamed that aren't going to be here on the main stream. I think Knight's just...
Yeah, he's just playing Turtle there, and And Dan even walked in there with 1 rocket left. Getting a couple of clicks, just checking a couple of times, make sure it wasn't just jammed or something. But he does get the kill in the end. The dual wield comes out, but 7-14 going the way of Knight.
Sync error, if you're listening, don't put that idea and we don't need weapon jams, mate.
I don't know, I could add some interesting... no, we're kidding, we're kidding.
Okay, so yeah, 14-7. That's double the score of Dan, and we've got to admit a few of those last frags were a gimme there, just to make the scores come a little bit closer. Knight was in such good form.
Yeah, look, Knight looked phenomenal.
From the first second to the last second, Knight was just in fantastic form.
Yeah, and Knight finished that with 40% LG, and that's, that's just any map, right? That's fantastic. But on CK especially, it's a map where LG is such a dominant tool.
Yeah.
And especially when you're playing against, I think the way Knight played it too worked out really well. Because when you're playing, especially against a BJ, it's, you've seen it a million times before, right? The dual wield LG comes out with BJ, and you've just watched a stack get melted.
Yeah.
And on LAN, right? Think about how much more that's going to,
yeah,
it's going to hit. So, and Knight,
where you're putting the crosshair is where your shots are going.
And Knight was playing around that perfectly. He knew that was going to be the case. So it's like, okay, well, if I can control this side of the map with the LG, then I can play my game now. I can sort of set these totems up. I don't have to worry about the that dual wield LG.
Both players are ready to go straight in on Blood Covenant. We're seeing the Nyx and Athena combo come out here. With where are we? We've got Dan on the Nyx and Knight on the Athena. I rate the Athena on Blood Covenant. I'm just going to say that straight out. You can't discount Dan playing Nyx.
I was going to say it's a Dan.
You cannot discount a Dan Nyx, but if we're it's Athena on Blood Covenant.
If we're going to see the caliber that Knight, if Knight's going to play the same caliber on this map as he's on that previous map, right? This could definitely go. Well, we said that we could go this.
Whose pick would have Blood Covenant be? Was that a Dan pick or was that a Knight pick?
Good question.
Good question.
Could be either.
Could be either.
I think it's again like Dan loves playing the Nyx on that map, and Knight again the same with Athena. Right? I think these players were both very happy with their with the picks, and I like to see also that the Galena even coming out too. Right, we haven't really had much time to play on this new patch, so I think it's going to be a bit of how things work. We're not sure exactly how things are going to be, just because we don't until you've played it, but you don't know.
It's interesting to see how the OGs actually changed from even what we were seeing in the last chance qualifiers and the split 3 finals. The LG was just a dominant force from the close to the mid range we were seeing in the previous patch, and with the latest update with that 200 cell, the 100 FPS, and it now respecting armor properly, we're seeing in those close range fights it becoming a bit more of a risky pick just to leave it out. And I'm assuming we're going to be starting on Knight here.
Yeah, let's see.
Blood Covenant, last map. This is for all the marbles. The last 2 maps do not matter whatsoever. And a great delay that Knight's putting on the Mega.
An immediate Ghost Walk, right? That's a good start. And because the Athena is a great champion to deny these time bars. So I'd love to see Knight now just immediately drop down, deny those time shards. It means it's a little bit longer for that next invis, especially once you know you forced it. Because that means you've got a good chance to try and get in. And a little movement error almost cost him that rail. Missed shot from Dan. So he's safe for now. And you can see Knight really just wants to get over this rail. And Dan
does not want to let him have that rail whatsoever.
Does not want to allow that to happen.
No, and that's... He's going to have to give it up eventually. He's going to need to go pick up one of these majors at some point, whether it's going for the heavy because Knight gives up, or going for the mega because, just enough chip damage happens.
Exactly, yep.
It's going to have to happen at some point, and I think we're seeing Dan finally giving up the mega there. No, the Ghost Walk is out just at the right time. That would have been a dead Dan if it wasn't for the Ghost Walk.
Yeah, I love the, immediately popping and doesn't want to take anyone. And look, Dan's come out of that pretty healthy too, which is the best part. So you don't want to lose all your health and then force the Ghost Walk out, because then you're stuck on, 50 stack, 100 stack, whatever it is. You go try back. Oh, Dan getting caught out actually there. Knight
turn.
Not really ready either, though, I don't think. Didn't quite have a weapon. You probably wanted rail there or even LG. And going to push in here aggressive. Notice no Ghost Walks. This is a really good chance to try and get this frag, but that rail from Dan has forced Knight to go back. But Dan just comes straight back. And
what's Dan doing?
He's dead.
What was he doing? That
going
was
straight up bounce pad. Maybe wasn't.
Did he think he was going to go for the mega or something there? I don't understand what Dan was thinking. Ooh. And that's 1-2. This is a dangerous position for Dan to be in now.
This trail from Knight. This is Knight's
2 frags up on Blood Covenant though.
It is 2 frags, but he's low. That's the problem. He needs to go get these stacked. Dan did just get heavy, and all right. Well, there's a rail. That one certainly does work. It's
a dangerous position to be in. I'm not saying Dan's lost. It's way too early to say that. But we're talking 2 frags so quickly.
Well, the invis is not ready for it.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, he had the wrong weapon.
The click of death.
The click of death.
The click of death. Dan would have been dead, I think, if it wasn't for that. No rails left, and Knight just getting caught out again. And look how
Dan
quickly.
Dan punishing, and there we are. We're back to where we were 2.25 minutes ago. Dan and Knight both in fairly equal positions here, similar stacks, and something was trying to happen there with the nail gun jumps. We got there eventually, and yeah, none of the drive-by damage is being hit there. Holy crap, that was an explosive 15 seconds.
I know, a lot just happened. Like, it was, you know, it looked so calm for the first little bit, and then all of a sudden Dan just exploded out of the gates, getting on the board, and yeah, time's back up 2-2, and ooh, good shot there from Knight, hiding down on that stairwell, barely can see his head just peeking over the edge.
Yeah, it's a dangerous position. He gets caught with the shaft. So much damage, 120 shaft damage, followed up by a see you later shotgun to the face. And Dan has put himself in the lead now, and that was a clean frag as well. He came out of that with most of his stacks intact. And Knight's going to be in, it's a tough position to be in now. You're facing a fully stacked Dan, well, a well-stacked Dan, and you've just got your starting stack.
Yeah, he's basically going to play his passive right now for the next pretty much minute of the match without taking a shot. Does get that first 50 shot, but if he goes through this TP, might take a rail, and it does fade back. And the thing is, look at the stack difference here. Knight does get a little bit of damage off, which is nice from start, but he...
Dan can take the damage at the moment. 1-2 rails, Dan doesn't miss.
Yeah, exactly.
Dan doesn't miss.
He's warmed up now. The first map was an anomaly, and he immediately goes, so I don't think he saw Knight going towards rails, so he's just trying to get over this on that. Immediately just wants to keep control of these items. That's the most important part right now for him in this match. And he's done a really good job. Ever since he's basically taken control, he's looked, you know, he's just steady. Like, everything's looked in his favor, and he's been playing.
He's playing his game.
Exactly right, exactly right.
It's what we've been talking about, you know, over the last couple of splits. Dan is one of those players that even when he's down, he plays his game. He doesn't let his game be influenced by others, and that can sometimes be to a fault. Obviously, in this instance, it's not. He was able to turn it around from being out of control, being at a frag deficit, to now being 2 frags up. We're not even at the halfway point of this map yet. Like, the amount of frags that's on the board, we're back to 1 frag in at Night, picking up a frag there. He's only on 8 HP. He's channeling Lure hard, and Dan's is going for the charge. I'll get back to what I was going to say in a bit, as Dan's looking to pick up that refrag right now. Knight is still not in a great position, but Dan's forced to pop that invis. And I think Dan's going to he's going to pick up the heavy kill by the looks of it. And Dan's able to escape. He's not very healthy, but he's able to escape. The LG comes out. There we are. We're back to 4 all. I can't even remember what the point I was going to say before was that that Knight came out with that fantastic kill round near the lower small armor, and it's completely turned the game back around. Yes, that's what I was going to say. Normally Blood Covenant, it's a low frag map. We're used to seeing scores similar to that on Blood Run, the Molten Falls, if it's a bad day, and things like that. But no, we're seeing more of CK style.
What a kill there by Knight.
Great
just
read.
Dropping down without making the sound cue, and Dan just not ready for it all. And the thing is, the Ghost Walk wasn't up. That's the thing, he would have Ghost Walked immediately if he could, but he wasn't there available, and that's the thing, the lights just go down so quick, and Knight going around, and that's probably why we're seeing so many frags, right? These 2 champions are really quick, especially the Athena. Using those hooks to fly around up, denying the time shots. Ghost Walk is up, so that doesn't have much impact, but the beautiful direct from the other 2, we're probably going to see a Ghost Walk forced here, and we are. And the thing is, look how low Dan is. If Knight gets a good read here and catches Dan out, that's it.
Yeah, Knight was sitting on 130 after that fight there. He probably could have just tried and read where Dan was going to go and followed up on the kill. That would have been a great choice to make there. Obviously, the respect coming out of, hey, he gets the pixel rail, 1-2. See you later. And
yeah, look at this. Like, Knight is just, it's amazing how we've gone from, you know, all Knight straight into all, and now Knight's just coming straight back, and he's hitting hard. He's not making these mistakes, and it's again immediately Dan's not ready. There's no rest here. Falling back, playing is perfectly at range, right? Seeing what weapon Dan's using, getting back out of that shotgun optimal range of the LG, and cleans the kill up, and has a perfect rotation on these items. Knows them to the absolute second. Probably won't be able to get over towards this Mega in time, but again, I say that, but look at the hook. The speed down. Oh, beautiful rail. Is going to bounce, but the second one.
How do you hit that?
And out of rail, but pushes straight into the LG in hand. Both ways, LG and Dan's LG just a little bit stronger.
That was the Mega. Yeah, the Mega was enough to keep him alive. And I was about to make the joke. We've been seeing it go in 2 frag swings. One player gets 2 frags, and the next get 2. And we're going back and forth that way. Looks like we're up to 3 frags ahead. Is Dan going to be able to get his 3 frags ahead of time now? The rail is brilliant. Make that 2 rails in a row. Can he hit the 3rd? No, he can't. But Knight's just chipping away, and Dan's forced to back away from the fight. He can't be there anymore. He can't risk it dropping anymore at the 7-minute mark. He can't afford losing any more frags.
Yeah, we've got an aggressive Invis comes out, which doesn't get anything, and that's putting him in a dangerous spot, because if that one goes wrong here in this fight, which, mind you, that first rail means pretty much secured this kill, and then the second one as well, doesn't miss those shots, and even going to push across here in the second. Like another rail out, it's not the optimal weapon probably at that range, but does hit the shot, means he's going to be perfectly safe.
He's seen the Gen Z players do it, he figured he could do it himself.
He was the one who started this shotgun rail, right? Like, when you're hitting that many and it's just 60% rail per map, you can do that. But right now, Knight is going to just be playing this quiet. One frag up, but we've got just about 2 minutes to go.
Yeah, Dan doesn't have that ghost walk up yet, and Knight's just in a position where he can go flying. That cheeky rail did not have to hit there. He did not need to fire it, but he did. That's a choice he made, and now there's going to be a fight over this heavy armor. Knight's just keeping him away from it. The second rail hits, and we are now 2 frags spread with 2 minutes to go on Blood Covenant. Things are starting to look a little bit dire for Dan in his first televised game on the LAN.
Look, there's still plenty of time for him to come back. I don't think Dan's not the sort of player who's going to.
No, he's not one to lie down.
He's not going to tap out.
No.
So he's 100% playing this. But Knight is just going to. And look at that, the trap up at close range with the shotgun and the invis forced again. But another time we see a situation where the invis is forced. And they're going to actually get another engagement by that 25 shot. I don't know if Dan was sort of expecting Knight to be quite so close. And then immediately Knight able to turn around and clean that up with the LG. And that's now a 3-frag lead for Knight with a minute 20 to go.
I think I'm going to call it.
No,
I'm calling it. I think Knight's walking away with this match 2 of the day.
Well, with rails like this, it's so hard for this fight. Like, Dan, he's got no arm. The thing is, he has to start pushing.
This is where Dan has to fight. He's got no choice now.
Yeah. And Knight's just going to play this classic. He's going to use the
movement error. Was that a movement error or was that speed boost?
I think he's wanting to get over as quick as he can, but look at this. Dan is just hitting.
Dan
does
needs to
deny
hit.
the armor hit, but okay, hits every rail that he has to, right?
This could be the comeback.
And all the question is the spawn here. He's going to machine gun. Oh my god, look at the machine gun. Look at his health just melt down. There is very little left for Dan. And
Dan has to go for this now. But Knight is just going to run away. This is the defensive Knight of old that we're used to seeing. He's so good at avoiding damage, and that is what he's going to be trying here. Dan's chasing. We've seen Dan in these positions on LAN before where he's had to chase in the last minute. I called it early. I'm going to be wrong. I reckon Dan can hear me on stage over there, and he was not happy about what was being saying. 20 seconds to go, 1 frag in it. Can Dan push it into overtime? Knight is just being a sneaky, sneaky boy and hiding. Dan is hunting with everything he has. 10 seconds left. He's caught him. He's gone the wrong way at the rocket jump.
There is no way he gets him, and he doesn't know where he's gone. Knight's gone to the other side of the map, and
Knight's come back and he fell
down again.
That's
it. So many little situations there where that could have gone for either player, and no, Knight managing to escape with the last few seconds. What a matchup!
Oh my god!
The final set of what a. What, I need a breather here.
That was not the map 3 that I was expecting. I was not expecting to see it go into the last 10 seconds, and I was not expecting to see movement errors coming out from Dan under pressure like that. That was... Words are escaping me. Words are hard at the best of times, but words are escaping me well and truly right now. And that's the type of games that we've got to go in for the rest of the day with.
Yeah, we're going to be, we've got a lot of games like that still to go. And right, if this is going to be, again, the caliber we're seeing Knight, he's playing absolute peak of his game right now. So we're definitely going to be in a situation where I think we're going to have a great set. We've got next match coming up shortly. I think we are on.
What I'll say is,
here, so we are going to be going for a little bit of a break, but we will be going straight into after break. Lua versus Lucky. So don't go too far away. Angry OC, thank you by the way for the gifted subs. That's amazing. We appreciate that so much.
And you'll be having Hamo joining you after the break, as I've got to go. I've got to go win my division, mate. I've got to go win a division. Yeah.
Dazboxer, yeah. So we're going to be dropping Dazboxer on through, but as I say, we are going to be going on a quick break. We will be back probably in about sort of 15 minutes or so. So do not go anywhere. Go grab some lunch, and we shall be back. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you shortly.
Check, check. Uh, let's get ready to rumble.
Right, so just a quick update on what's happening here live in Melbourne. We've had some issues in the upstairs section here where we've got the lower divs playing. There's been a few server issues and connection issues. So they're doing a quick restart of a couple of their servers, which is going to be why we've just a quick another 15-minute break. But then after that, we are straight back into matches now, pretty much for the rest of the afternoon. Quick rundown of what we've got to expect. So we've got Lua versus Lucky coming up now. Then moving on to Lucky versus Mike, and Salty Mike, Salty Red, and finishing out the night with Dan and Cam, probably at about 7 o'clock-ish. That might go a little bit further depending on how everything rolls, but fingers crossed, things should be sailing smooth after this. So again, apologies for the delay, but we will be hopefully back into action without any more hesitation after this quick break.